All right, today we're going to dive into something that's, well, it's incredibly powerful, but also really challenging and often totally misunderstood. I'm talking about humility. And we're going to get right into it by looking at this fascinating, almost baffling choice made by one of history's most influential figures.
So just imagine for a second, you have the ultimate claim to fame, right? The author of the biblical text we're digging into today, he could have introduced himself as the leader of the entire Jerusalem church. That's a big deal. Or, he could have pulled the ultimate card, calling himself the brother of Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? A title like that would have commanded instant authority. No questions asked.
But he didn't do any of that. Nope. Instead, this is how he opens his letter. He picks one single, very specific word to define who he is: servant. And that word, in the original Greek, it's doulos, which is even stronger. It means a slave, a bondservant. It's just wow. And that one word is the foundation for everything we're about to unpack here.
And that really brings us right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the big question. He had every right in the world to claim authority. So why? Why would he choose the title servant? Why pick the lowest possible status you could imagine? What is he trying to show us, right here before the letter even really gets going? I think the answer is it's absolutely fascinating.
Okay, so to get to that answer, the perspective we're looking at today gives us this really powerful metaphor. The idea is that James chose to call himself a servant because, in this way of thinking, real humility, it acts like an unseen cornerstone. So, what exactly is a cornerstone in this sense? Well, think about building something massive. It's the very first stone they put down in the foundation. It is absolutely essential. The whole building's weight rests on it. But, and this is the key part, once the building's all finished, you can't even see it. It's hidden. It gets zero glory, but it provides all the strength. Just think about that for a second. On one side, you've got the stuff everyone sees and praises. The beautiful cathedral, the stained glass, all of it. But on the other side, you have that hidden strength, that cornerstone that nobody ever sees. But without it, the whole thing just crumbles. By calling himself a servant, James was basically saying, that's me. I'm the cornerstone. His value wasn't in getting applause, but in being that crucial, unseen support. Okay, but let's be honest. This whole idea of being an unseen cornerstone, of serving without anyone ever knowing, it sounds beautiful, right? But it goes completely against our deepest human instincts. And that's where we get to this idea that maybe, just maybe, this kind of strength isn't something we can just gin up on our own.
I mean, doesn't this question just feel familiar? It feels like it's hardwired into us. It's our default setting, isn't it, to ask this very question? There's that little voice inside, that little seed of pride that's always whispering, hey, what about me? Where's my credit?
So this really sets up a battle between two very powerful forces, doesn't it? On the one hand, you have our gut instinct, that constant pull to get noticed, to climb the ladder, to show everyone how great we are. But on the other hand, the text is suggesting that the kind of humility James is showing off, it's not something you can just force. It's not about willpower. It's described as a gifted nature, a strength that has to come from somewhere else entirely. And this just completely flips the script on what we think humility is. It is not weakness. It's not having low self-esteem. It's this incredible spiritual resilience. It's the strength to stay completely anchored to what you're called to do, whether people are throwing roses at your feet or throwing rocks at your head. So to really get a handle on where that kind of resilience could even come from, we have to zoom way out. This perspective invites us to see how humility fits into a much, much bigger story, a kind of cosmic drama about who we were meant to be. So, according to this theological framework, the whole story basically unfolds in three big acts. First, you have creation, and here, humility was just the natural way of things. Serving the Creator was a joyful thing. Then, Act 2, the fall. This is where pride enters the scene, and everything gets flipped upside down. Suddenly, there's this desire to be the master, not the servant. And that brings us to Act 3, redemption. And this is presented as the ultimate plot twist. The king himself becomes the ultimate servant, all to fix what was broken and restore that original order.
And this is where it all leads. It all culminates right here. Within this framework, the cross is seen as the ultimate proof of this entire idea. It's presented as the moment in history where humility is revealed to be the absolute highest form of love, and where the act of serving becomes the very thing that saves. Wow. So after all that, after looking at the definition, that internal struggle we all feel, and this huge cosmic story, it all comes right back down to us. It comes full circle and lands on this very personal, very direct challenge. And here it is. This is the question we have to ask ourselves. At the end of the day, whose servant are you? Which master are you really serving? Is it that constant, relentless grind for worldly success, the one that always asks for more and more? Or is it a higher calling, one that calls you into that quiet, unseen service we've been talking about? So, what does this path of the servant even look like? Well, first, it's about serving without needing anyone to watch, no audience required. Second, it's about learning to trust that the outcome, it's not totally up to you. You let go of that control. And third, and this might be the most radical part, it's about actually finding the joy in the act of serving itself, not in waiting for some reward at the end. And there's one last, really beautiful analogy here to help us grasp this. The path of humility is a lot like being a farmer. You do the work, right? You plant the seed, you water the soil, and for a long time, you see absolutely nothing. It takes a ton of patience and a deep, deep trust in a process that you simply can't control. And so that leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question. We're left to wonder, that fruit that comes from all that patient, unseen service, isn't it possible that it's actually sweeter than any prize or pleasure the world could ever give you? It's a powerful idea. Thanks so much for digging into this with me.